SportsGrid college football today. It's a Saturday chock full of bowl games with a playoff preview coming your way over the next 2 hours. It's Joe Lisi. It's Donnie Rightside. It's the way we get down to business from home today, Joe. But the vibes will still be high. It's just what we're going to do, baby.
Oh, a little northeast weather
Come
affecting
on.
our remote, backgrounds here. But I'll tell you what, we have bowl games. We had bowl games all week. We saw those college football first-round games play out. You and I haven't been on air since those came about. We had some upsets, and hopefully we'll see the second-round games potentially live up to the hype of two of those greatest games, Texas A&M and Miami, and, of course, the Friday night thriller, Alabama and Oklahoma. The stage is set now, Donnie. We'll see exactly how this second round plays out, but it's still a coin flip as to who potentially wins the national championship.
An all-encompassing show, which we will hit all 8 bowl games today, give you a preview of the next round of the playoff games. Coach Terry Bowden, as usual, going to join us here on a Saturday, and a lot of fun to be had, Joe. You got games kicking off at 11 a.m. and ending at 9:15. Joe, LSU Houston tonight. Is Lane Kiffin going to be walking up and down those sidelines tonight? He's going to be taking a look at the boys.
Possibly. Now, LSU has won 3 straight bowl games, but the game, I believe, means more to Houston and Willie Fritz. They've overexceeded expectations, 9-3 overall, and they have Connor Wegman, an above-average quarterback. The game is played in NRG Stadium. That's where the home team Houston Texans play, but also a hometown appeal for the Houston Cougars. So that's why you're seeing a 2.5-point favorite. But we'll see. It's a fast track. Total could potentially be a little bit light, Donnie. We'll see how this game plays out.
Oh, we certainly will. And by the way, it's not baseball season yet. It's not pitchers and catchers, Joe, but we have a game in Fenway Park today and also Yankee Stadium. By the way, congratulations to these teams that get a bowl game. You just want to celebrate in some warm weather. Woo, boy, you're putting on the Under Armour today, Joe, in a couple of these.
Yeah, the Fenway Bowl and Pinstripe Bowl traditionally are a cold weather, blue-collar type of games. Traditionally, they trend to the under. But I'll tell you what, the Pinstripe Bowl does have a pretty sexy matchup. If I would have told you at the start of the year, Clemson and Penn State were squaring off in that bowl game, you would have said, hey, I would have taken that for the New York fan base or the tri-state that are traveling to this matchup. Well, we do have potentially 2 teams that are hot. Penn State won 3 straight down the stretch. Clemson did win 4 straight as well. Cade Klubnik will play in this ball game. No Nick Singleton for Penn State, but Katron Allen potentially will play in this matchup. Whichever team potentially can run the football better ultimately might win this matchup in Yankee Stadium, Donnie.
Yeah, we'll hit all those games, and as Joe pointed out, we're going to make sure we keep you updated on the players that are sitting out of this game and also coaching staffs that are already with one foot out the door. A lot of that stuff matters today, but an exciting day on deck. And as we said, next week getting into the college football playoff, which brings us up, Joe, to the predictive markets right now. College football championship winner, currently right now, it's Ohio State with a 33% chance. Indiana, 21%. And Joe, you've been digging on Georgia for quite some time. They're up to 17% now, followed by Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama, Miami, and Ole Miss. How are we feeling about the bracket and also chances to win an NCAA championship, Joe?
Yeah, I think when we look at those second-round games, Donnie, I think as a college football fan, and even you would agree, those are really good matchups, right? I mean, Oregon, Texas Tech is a 1.5-point number. They played in Lubbock just a couple of years ago, and you look at the speed perspective, Oregon going up against the Texas Tech defensive front, that's a pretty sexy matchup. Alabama seemed to get it right against Oklahoma in the second quarter and then the second half. If they play the way they did for 4 quarters against Fernando Mendoza in Indiana, potentially maybe they could strike the upset as a 6.5-point favorite. We have a rematch, Ole Miss and Georgia. That game went right down to the wire earlier in October. Georgia did pick up the victory as a 7.5-point home favorite. But again, the way Ole Miss played against Tulane, it didn't seem like they missed Lane Kiffin to any capacity. You potentially maybe have an upset looming in that matchup. And if Miami's defense comes and shows up against Julian Sayin in Ohio State and they run the football the way they did against a very good front seven in Texas A&M, Donnie, as a 9.5-point underdog, I'll tell you what, Miami and Carson Beck can be live. If you're asking me right here, right now in round number 2, the one team that I would bank on or at least put money on, it would be the Georgia Bulldogs. I believe in both the offense and defense, and I believe in their head coach, Kirby Smart, they seem to have an identity. Now they have to follow through against Ole Miss.
Yeah, sometimes, Joe, we get a little bit upset. Like, oh, those first round games, we got two really good ones, expected good ones there. And then we had the two games that were really blowouts from the start where you allowed the group of fives in. But this is that week where it's like, you know what? Get excited, man. Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama, Indiana, Ole Miss, Georgia, and Miami of Ohio State. Like, we're not getting any of those. Oh, I think it's going to be. Now, granted, there might be blowouts, but all of these matchups on paper, you can get down with some effective handicap styling, Joe. If I look at the marketplace right now with the college football championship winner, I got to tell you, am I wrong, Joe, for keep coming back to Texas Tech at about a 10-1 price? You wager $100, you get back $1,000 on some of these predicted markets, Joe. I just think I look at them. If they can get by Oregon, I like a straight shot to the final. I do. I think they can beat Indiana if Indiana knocks off Alabama, Joe.
Yeah, it's a great point. Now, you're talking about the best rush defense in the college football playoff heading into this matchup against Oregon. Now, we know Oregon can run the football. They're averaging well over 200 rushing yards per game, well over 4.5 yards per carry. It's a speed versus brawn type of perspective. Oregon's, offense with Dante Moore going up against that front seven. But if they can contain the rushing attack of Oregon and they win that game, I agree with you. They match up very well against Indiana. They have a speed advantage, I believe, over the Hoosiers should they get to that matchup. The one concern, I think, when we look at this game, and again, love him or hate him, Dante Moore does seem, in my opinion, to have the quarterback advantage over Behren Morton. Behren Morton is very experienced, hasn't really played from behind a lot. That's where I think you look at Texas Tech and you say, okay, that is the concern. We have to dictate tempo. But if they could do that, they're going to be there, Donnie.
Am I wrong for thinking this, Joe? Because when we take a look at, the teams to reach the National College Football Championship game, you're really looking at saying, you know what? Yeah, Ohio State's there, Indiana's, we get it. But I got a feeling like the winner, Joe, of Oregon and Texas Tech is going to find its way into the championship game. Now, am I wrong? Because I like what Indiana's done this year. Don't get me wrong, Joe. They lose a key defender there. We get it. And they're wide receivers. They got a quarterback that's probably going to go number one overall. But I just feel Oregon and Texas Tech are better football teams than Indiana. And it sounds crazy. What do you mean, Donnie? It's the number one team in the country, undefeated, and they beat Ohio State. I'm telling you right now, if we look at some of the predictive markets, Joe, to make the college football final, not win it, Texas Tech is at a 24% chance, which $100 pays back $417. If you take a look at Oregon, they actually have a little bit better odds. $100 pays back $385. So if you bet both of those straight shots, both plus money, Joe, I really think the winner of Oregon and Texas Tech can make it into the college football final and get you a positive ticket, even if you take both the 5 seed and the 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good look. I mean, again, it would be a rematch if Oregon does knock off Texas Tech, a team that they lost to in Indiana 30-20. They were a significant favorite at home against Fernando Mendoza. That was a 2020 halftime game for the Oregon Ducks. Second half adjustments. They did have critical turnovers. Indiana capitalized on them, and that's why they were able to win that matchup by 10 points. But you look at Dan Lanning, you would give him the advantage potentially over Cignetti, not to take away anything from Kurt Cignetti in his second year in Indiana and Bloomington, but Oregon has been in this position before. They lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl last year. You would hope that Dan Lanning has learned from that. They also have a game under their belt, and that's potentially why you would give the inside edge, I think, to Oregon over Texas Tech in that second round matchup. Concerns about Texas Tech with the layoff, I think, could always be a factor. All those second round games, you give the edge to the team that's already played a game before, but we'll see how it plays out. Again, it's not going to be easy for Oregon. Texas Tech can run sideline to sideline, and again, they force turnovers. Rodriguez, their linebacker, and that front seven are very difficult to run on. If Oregon can't run the football, they're going to be up against it. But it's a good look. Oregon or Tech to potentially make the national championship game is in bad value right here, right now.
Yeah, I think it's fun. And again, it sets up well. You're also taking a look at all of these games, Joe, being played on neutral site. Oregon and Texas Tech, that'll be played at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Indiana and also Alabama, they'll be out at the Rose Bowl. The Sugar Bowl, which is Ole Miss and Georgia, that's down south. And the Cotton Bowl, that one's going to be in Dallas, Texas at Jerry Road. I'm excited for the college football playoff as it moves forward, but we got some really good bowl games on deck today. Joe Lisi, the master of disaster, breaks it all down next.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York. And now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
BYU and Georgia Tech. It is SportsGrid College Football Today. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Lisi. And away we go, Joe. An 8-game bowl schedule, which we're going to start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. 231, 232 on the rotation. That's the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck. Taking on BYU, Joe. This line opened up 3.5. No movement, Joe. 3.5 still across the board, and 55.5 as the total here. If we look at Georgia Tech and also BYU, L.J. Martin not playing in this game, also a plethora of players for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Joe, give me the breakdown before we get into the sides. What are some of the players you're watching out for? And also, some of these, will they be key losses for each one of these teams?
Yeah, absolutely. L.J. Martin's the leading rusher for BYU. He's rushed for over 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns on the year. I mean, it's a significant, blow to BYU that ultimately Donnie wants to run the football. Now, again, it does come down to the offensive line when we see running backs opt out of bowl games. Yes, I understand dynamic athletic players will potentially hurt the productivity, but as long as the offensive line, for the most part, is intact, you could still maybe roll with some players. Now, again, can BYU win this football game if they can't run the football? That's the other question, because, again, they've averaged 184 rushing yards per game. They have thrown for over 200 yards with Bear Bachmeier and this offense, but we saw them get contained by a much better defense in Texas Tech. They were limited, but also this year, Donnie, BYU has 8 games where they've thrown for under 200 yards. So, again, that's going to be the matchup going up against a Georgia Tech defense that's allowed 169 rushing yards per game. I still believe BYU potentially can run the football on I want to say a weaker front seven in Georgia Tech. But let's not forget, Haynes King is on the other side for the Yellow Jackets. Here's the matchup. Georgia Tech is 4-1 on the road or on a neutral field. They've won their road games by an average margin of victory of 4.1 points per game. On the flip side, BYU, battle-tested on the road. They're 5-2 and have won those games by an average margin of victory of 11.7 points per game. They do have key road wins in Ames against Iowa State. They did go into Cincinnati at the end of the year and win that game as well. So you think the body of work is a little bit better for BYU, but I still buy into Haynes King, his athleticism. I'm on his rushing yards. I'll take the 3.5 with Georgia Tech. I do feel they could attack that secondary as well over the top. I like Georgia Tech's speed, even though BYU is more mature and can run the football. Give me the Yellow Jackets outright in this matchup.
It'll find it interesting, too, and I think I would sort of agree with you because when you take out that big cog in the offense, which was Martin, Joe, you go back to the TCU game, 21 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Cincinnati game, 32 carries, 222, and 2 scores. UCF, 22 carries, 95 yards, 3 scores. And then that last game against Texas Tech before the shoulder surgery, 19 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. That's going to be out of the equation where, Joe, it's just one of those simple things, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2. That's an easy first down, which might not be there at this point. But if we are looking at the quarterbacks, I do find it interesting, though, that Haynes King has a higher passing prop number, Joe, than Bear Bachmeier does, 222.5 versus 218.5. If we're looking at both of those quarterbacks today, not rushing, which they do pretty well, passing-wise, who would you take?
I think I would take still Haynes King. When you look at his body of work throughout the regular season, he's averaged around 330 total yards per game. He's averaged around 200 passing yards, and again, about 80 to 90 on the ground when he's hitting on all cylinders. You look at the last couple of games against Pittsburgh, against Georgia, he hasn't stepped up, but now with 3 weeks of preparation, going up against a defense in BYU that's allowed 206 passing yards per game, and BYU at times has struggled with speed teams that could spread them and stretch them over the top. I still think Haynes King and this offense can eat through the air, but again, he could still run the football. I'm expecting Haynes King in this matchup, Donnie, to account for about 280 total yards of offense, maybe 80 on the ground and 220 through the air. So give me Haynes King. That's not suggesting he can't go for 275, 300 if that offense is clicking. I just have more confidence in Haynes King, big picture, than I do Bear Bachmeier.
By the way, beautiful day in Camping World Stadium today. We talked about, or briefly brought up 2 games, that are going to be played in the Northeast at Fenway and also Yankee Stadium. Cold weather conditions, 75 degrees, light wind, no precipitation in the forecast. A perfect bowl day here. And how about this, Joe? Haynes King, passing and rushing today. His number, 298.5, Joe. You'd be leaning to go close to 3 bills for the quarterback. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, when he's hitting on all cylinders, he's averaging around 336, 337 per game. That was prior to the Georgia game. So statistically, he was held in check in the Georgia matchup at the end of the regular season. You now have 3 weeks to reset the offense, break down BYU's defense. And again, even though BYU is bigger and stronger in the front 7, I don't think they can run sideline to sideline with the speed of Georgia Tech. That's where the Yellow Jackets, to me, have the advantage. Now, I will say, last year against Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech struggled in the bowl game. On the flip side, we saw BYU take care of business last year in the bowl game against Colorado. But I think this year is a different animal. Give me the dog in this matchup.
Ooh, I like that here. By the way, touchdown shots here, pay dirt picks, Joe. You know the way I get down. I like to pick 2 guys out and say, give me some plus money. You're not getting any discounts on Bachmeier scoring a touchdown. He's roughly minus 260, Joe. Haynes King for Georgia Tech, he's minus 220. Those are quarterbacks. They're not even running backs. But also understand this, L.J. Martin not playing. That's the guy, that's the hammer you give the ball to inside the 5-yard line. He won't be there, Joe. Each one of these quarterbacks to get a touchdown in this game today, a plus 112 price. Who are you looking at for some pay dirt picks out here in the streets?
I mean, for me, again, you look at Holsley, the transfer for Georgia Tech from UPenn. He's always available. Again, I think you also look to Haynes King on the ground. But again, Bachmeier, Kingston, and Chase Roberts are his 2 main targets. They were held in check in the game against Texas Tech. I mean, again, I know they want to run the football, but in red zone opportunities, he does look to both of those players. They do have plus value today.
Looking at that total, Joe, it's 55.5. Just looking at some ticket counts out here, Joe, would you believe close to 75% of the tickets on the under in this game, Joe? And it hasn't moved off the 55.5 good weather. Can we see tempo in this game? Or do we just slow it down and we're running all day and that clock tick, tick, tick?
No, I mean, I still lean to the under. 55.5 in these bowl games, Donnie, is a high number. We saw it go through the number last night. With UTSA, that number was at 62.5. But all these bowls up until this point have been to the under. I would still lean that way, but don't love it.
Let's get some point score. And then Joe's LSU Tigers taking on Houston is the game that we're going to preview next. How about this one, Joe? We're going from a 55.5 to an LSU game at 41.5 as a total. Joe, national champions, the LSU Tigers, up next.
when you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Keep it bowling, people. Let's get those strikes. We got a lot of bowl games to get to. Just had a pretty good one, the preview in Georgia Tech and BYU. This is what we do on SportsGrid College Football Today. Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi, 9:15 tonight. You want some extra primetime action? You got it. LSU and Houston, Joe, 9:15 p.m. Eastern. That's from the Texas Bowl tonight. And look at these price points. Houston actually opened as a look-ahead line, Joe, -3.5. We now see that down to -1.5 across the board, and a total extremely low at 41.5. Changeover. Players that we thought might be playing in this game won't be playing, Joe. A lot of volatility. What do we see for LSU and Houston?
Yeah, it's like what I said earlier. I mean, the game, in my opinion, means more to Houston, I believe, than it does LSU. Now, LSU did play in this bowl game last year and throttled Baylor by basically 14 points in that matchup, and they had a huge day. They put up 45-plus points against Baylor's defense. But again, it's an interim staff. Frank Wilson's basically already committed to Ole Miss. He's coaching this team. But again, we see no Aaron Anderson. Now, we do have Barrion Brown. We do have Trey Green. We do have Xavier Thomas playing for LSU and Van Buren. But LSU still can't run the football effectively. With 3 weeks in prep, are they going to be checked in or are they going to be checked out? On the flip side, you have a team in Houston, again, that has overexceeded expectations in year number 2 with Willie Fritz. Coach, I called you Coach. Donnie, they are 6-0 at home. They are 6-0 on the road or on their neutral field this year. Their win total at the start of the year was 5.5. It was juiced to the over at -178, but they're a 9-3 football team. They are one of the best teams heading into bowl season. And again, they're motivated. They can run the football. They have an experienced quarterback in Connor Wegman, and they are battle-tested in road environments. Their best win came on the road in Tempe against Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State, where they won that matchup by 12 points. So again, from the side perspective, I don't really like it, but it is a fast track. I do believe LSU can at least score and move the football. I'm taking the over 41, 42.5, even though Houston is the better team in this matchup.
Look at that. You looked a lot younger in that AI picture right there, Joe, from back. Like it looks like the season's really wore you down based upon talking about LSU at this point. Look at that. Look, the Tigers happy. That's probably down in LSU. Obviously, home stadium maybe is at the Superdome, like maybe celebrating a little bowl victory down there.
It looks like a BCS bowl. Yeah, looks like a Sugar Bowl back when they beat up on Notre Dame back in like 2006, I think.
Hammer time. How about this one? Michael Van Buren for LSU, 193.5, Joe. The expectations for Van Buren, which many people probably don't even know who the kid is. What are we looking for today from him?
Well, again, I mean, if they're on and they're dialed in, that's a doable number. Again, LSU is only averaging 106 rushing yards per game. Again, they do have athletes. Des Green, I believe, is an X factor for LSU in red zone opportunities, anytime touchdown, basically 2.5 to 1. Barry and Brown is a speedster. Xavier Thomas as well. If they are dialed in and throw the football, I think there's no doubt that Van Buren could blow through that number. With 3 weeks of preparation, I'm expecting a better effort. Now, again, if we're talking quarterbacks, Connor Wegman or Van Buren, I do lean to LSU and Van Buren to blow through his total.
Yeah, it looks like, Joe, again, 41.5 doesn't really give us those vibes of, let's throw it all around the lot and get a lot of yardage here. We'll rack it up. But if it does go over, the running game is going to be a big deal today. Harlan Berry for LSU, 58.5. Another guy I look at is Connor Wegman. We know the kid can run. 44.5 as that price point. I look for extended carries from these guys, Joe. If we're taking a look at like even alt rushing yards or total rushing yards for each team, if you look at LSU, their total rushing yards, Joe, 111.5. For Houston, 117.5. Who wins the day on the ground, Joe, between these two teams?
You know, I would lean to Houston just because they are averaging 175 rushing yards per game. Now, statistically, LSU has one of the best rush defenses, in the SEC, allowing 107 rushing yards per game. They're dialed in. That front seven has played very well with Blake Baker. But again, I don't have any confidence that they're going to be dialed in this matchup, Donnie, after 3 weeks after their last game against Oklahoma. If this was a regular season game, I would say, I'll buy in that aspect. LSU has won 3 straight bowl games, but this is a different year with an interim staff that's potentially checked out. I would lean to Houston's rushing total. If you're getting a 60-yard discount on that total heading into this matchup.
You know what's funny about this, too? Like, the better bowl game LSU would have had if they just beat Oklahoma, which they should have. Just a blown coverage late in that game cost them there. Touchdown paid dirt props, Joe. If I'm going with 2, I'm going to take Berry for LSU plus 145, and I'm going to flip it over with Houston and go with a plus 155 price on Wegman here. Give me one of those guys, I get plus money. How about a pay dirt pick for you, Joe, in this one?
I would take a shot on Amari Thomas for Houston, and I would take a shot, like I said, Des Green to me in red zone opportunities could score a touchdown today.
That's what we like, Joe. You get those price points there, 41.5 as a game total. You're going to get some really good touchdown props to go along with that. We got many more bowl games coming up, including the Military Bowl. Next, right here on the grid.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York. And now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Right back out at SportsGrid. College football today, just in time, ready to go. It's the Military Bowl, which is Pitt versus East Carolina. Take a look at this side, Joe. I don't even know what's going on here, Joe. You tell me Pitt opens up a 5.5 and we're sitting here game day, a half hour away from kickoff. It's 13.5 and a total of around 61.5 drops down to 52.5. I believe the MVP of this game, Joe, gets his own F-14. We can shoot down some of those Russian MiGs out there after the game. Let's go. Military Bowl style. 11 a.m. Salute.
Yeah, a lot of opt-outs for East Carolina, including their starting quarterback. So here's the thing, Donnie, and you look at just, Pittsburgh overall, they were one of the hotter teams in the ACC down the stretch. If they would have gotten the victory over Miami, they would have been in the ACC championship game. They got blown out. But Mason Heinzel, their quarterback, has stepped up. They're averaging 284 passing yards per game on the road or on a neutral field. They're 4-1 this year and have won by an average margin of victory of 12.2 points per game. They do have their top two leading wide receivers playing in this matchup. And again, you have a quarterback in Mike Wright, Donnie, that's starting for ECU, that completed 3 of 7 passes for basically 13 yards. So that's why you're seeing the 10.5 point number. They have about 13 opt-outs for this game. But I will say this. I lean to Pittsburgh in the matchup with the 10.5. But this situation played out with Drew Mastermaker in North Texas last year, or a couple of years ago when he started. He was a freshman. Their starting quarterback didn't play. And North Texas was averaging about 310 passing yards per game, right? And you say, okay, they had a discounted number by about 100 yards because he had inexperience and he didn't play. So are you buying into the system or are you buying into the player? With 3 weeks of preparation and an ECU offense that's averaging 280 passing yards per game, I took a shot on Mike Wright for 225 plus, basically 2-1. So again, I understand there's opt-outs. And if you believe Pitt is going to dominate and win this game, then you got to believe that ECU is going to be playing catch-up. Why can't Mike Wright in garbage situations at least throw for 2.25, potentially 250 at huge numbers? 250, 275, you're almost getting 4-1. So that's the way I attacked it on the ECU side. I did take Heinzel and 2 passing touchdowns because I think he'll definitely eat in this ballgame.
Yeah, taking a look also, like if I'm looking at Heinzel, I do think he passes well, but I do think they're going to win this football game, 277.5. He should get there, but you know what I do? It's real juicy. Over 1.5 touchdown passes for Heinzel in this game is minus 198. There's no way, shape, he's throwing 2 touchdowns against ECU with both of these 8 and 4 teams, Joe. Touchdown props in this game. Turner, Johnson, Williams, Heinzel, Wright. Who are you looking at here? And most of these guys are plus money outside of Turner.
Yeah, I mean, touchdown-wise, I would look to Pittsburgh. Yeah. I did take Kerry Johnson, one of their leading wide receivers. I think I got him at plus 135. So, I mean, again, if you believe he's going to throw the football, and again, we know Pitt's averaging 274 passing yards per game. ECU's basically up 230 in the secondary, right? With players opting out on the defensive side of the ball, maybe they give up 250, 260 in this matchup. Johnson at plus 135. To me, has great value on the Pittsburgh side. You want to take a shot on ECU. Their leading wide receiver, or one of, Brock Spalding, is playing. He's got 3 touchdowns in this matchup. Took a shot on him as well.
How about this one, Joe? Penn State and Clemson. This game is going to take place at Yankee Stadium. Frigid temperatures here. And if you're looking at just the names, Joe, Penn State, Clemson, you probably thought at the beginning of the season you'd be playing this game in a college football playoff game, but that's not the case today. Clemson is a favorite. FanDuel, Joe, opened up at 1.5. That's now 2.5, just like everybody else in the marketplace, and a total of around 47.5. 2 blue blood programs, if you will, tangling today at noon in frigid cold conditions. Who are we worried about starting, and who are we worried about, Joe, not starting in this game?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. We talked about Katron Allen. He's listed. Nick Singleton is out. So what does that mean for Penn State? Ultimately, they still have to run the football to win this ball game. And again, if Katron Allen does play he play for a half? Does he play for a full game? We saw this situation. And I just want to tell people, when you're betting props, you got to be very careful. Jenkins, the starting quarterback for FIU, was listed across multiple books last night, and he didn't even play. They inserted him in the fourth quarter in a blowout when they were down by 27 points. So again, you have to be very careful when you're betting key props on star players. We saw it with Cam Ward last year, where he plays for a half and he doesn't come out for the second half of the game, right? They want to go to potentially the NFL draft. Here's the thing, though. Penn State has won 3 games down the stretch by 16.2 points per game. Clemson has won 4 straight to get to a bowl game. They've won by 16.1 points per game. Cade Klubnik is a better quarterback than Grunkemeyer, the starting quarterback for Penn State. I do like and lean to Clemson. I think Klubnik could break out, but keep in mind this, sidewise, I do like Clemson, which is intriguing. The ACC team has not won in the Pinstripe Bowl in 8 meetings since 2025. So think about that. It's been 10 straight 8 straight. They haven't played every year, but since 2015, the Big Ten team has won in this matchup. That's a cause of concern when you just look at trends, but I'll still take Dabo Swinney, and I'll still take Clemson in this matchup.
Katron Allen, Joe, Pater picks, listed at a minus 130 price. No Singleton there. I used to love doubling those guys up. Is that number price point too low, or is it one of those games where he's in uniform because he's a team guy and he wants to be there, but Penn State's like, hey, man, you got a bigger future. I can't give you 25 carries in this game. It's just not fair for you.
Donnie, Katron Allen has rushed for 1,300 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns. It seems like a no-brainer that he's going to hit pay dirt, right?
Yeah.
With a wet track, in a cold weather environment, you would think that Penn State wants to run the football, but I can't get to that minus 130 because that number should be potentially minus 200 or minus 250 if he's the main back. Is there something that we don't know here?
Yeah, it's almost like one of those things you talk about in the past, like, hey, I love it, got Cam Ward out there. Oh, he's slinging it. Oh, well, he just wanted to play a quarter or so with his boys and then goes and heads to the bench. Tough times, which also means, Joe, you have some opportunities here if you bet these games live while they're going on and sort of try to beat the book there. Let's take a look at Virginia and Missouri, Joe, in the Gator Bowl today as a favorite. Missouri opened up in the look-ahead line show, minus 7.5. No longer the case. We're down to 4 with a lot of options here, and a total that's also dropping as well. The 48.5s to the 43.5s. Virginia and Missouri today in the Gator Bowl, plunging there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, again, I still think the game for me means more for Virginia than it does Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri's been banged up. Prabula has transferred out or potentially plans to transfer out of the program. He came back in one of the late games against Oklahoma at the end of the regular season and played against Arkansas in that victory. But for me, Donnie, again, I believe in Chandler Morris. I believe in Virginia's ability to run the football. They have a complete staff. They're all checked in. I know it's ACC versus SEC, but the way they lost the ACC championship game, I like Chandler Morris much more than I like Matt Zollers, that has struggled throughout the regular season and has only completed 50% of his passes. Give me Virginia plus the points in this matchup. Wouldn't shock me if they win it outright.
Zollers for Missouri, Joe, 161.5 as a passing prop. You take a look at Morris, he's up to 216.5. If we take a look at some of those Pater picks in this game, no surprise, it's Ahmed Hardy here listed at a minus 260 price. Taylor's minus 105. Whaley is minus 105, and then Roberts and Harris plus 125 and 165 in this game. Is it just so simple that you would take Hardy and put him in a prop piece here as he would score a touchdown, or is that price point just too high to take in this game?
Again, when you look at the price points for these guys, it's always too high when you're talking about the sole player for that offense. Again, I can't buy into it. I would much rather buy into Chandler Morris, big picture, all around rushing, receiving yards, and an anytime touchdown than anybody else in this matchup right now.
Can I sell you on this, Joe? Virginia's total yards in this game listed at 323.5. Is that an over for Virginia moving the football, or does it sound about right for you there?
Well, again, Missouri in run support has been very good. They're holding opposing offenses under 4 yards per carry, and they've played lower scoring games. But I would still take the over Virginia if you're backing them. I think they could exploit that defense over the top. So I think they blow through that number today.
8 bowl games today, people. That's how we get down right on the SportsGrid Network. You know who's coming up next with us? That's Coach Terry Bolw. We need the inside information, people, from the coach next.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York. And now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Right back here, SportsGrid College Football Today, Bowl Special Edition. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Lisi. Now we bring in the coach, Terry Bowden. Coach, you've been through the wires here. You've been through the bowl games here. How do we get the preparation right with the kids off for a couple weeks and getting them refocused? Let's start there.
Well, let me say this. Everything's different right now. I'm even having a difficult time picking how a team's going to play because you've got opt-outs, you've got portal, you've got coaching changes, you've got NIL. Everything is different now than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago. You have a completely different team playing in the football game than you might have played in the last of the season. So you have to reevaluate, see which team is mentally there and physically there to play these football games.
No doubt about it, Coach. And we take a look at the first game on the board today. It's 11 a.m. Eastern. It's Pittsburgh and East Carolina. And this line has been on the move since the moment it opened. -5.5 up to close to 2 touchdowns now, Coach, and a total listed at 52.5. A lot of changing parts for ESU taking on Pittsburgh today.
Well, and this is a prime example. You've got to ECU. They've lost both coordinators. They've lost their quarterback, their running back, their 2 best wide receivers. The best thing they got going for them is you don't know what they're going to do. They could run the wishbone for all we know, but Pittsburgh's a better football team. They've got a better quarterback. And it'll take a lot of special things happening at ECU for their quarterback, their head coach to pull this thing together. So I'm Pittsburgh all the way in this one.
Coach, you talk about Mike Wright. He's a quarterback that's only thrown 7 passes in the regular season for 13 yards. What could this interim staff do to get him prepared for a defense that's going to come after him and obviously one of the better front sevens in the ACC?
Run the football and don't be afraid to punt on 3rd down. You really don't want to put him in long passing situations because there's as big a chance for him to throw an interception or have a turnover, get a sack, hold on to the ball too long. I think as inexperienced as he is, Joe, you've got to run the ball, even if you've got a punt, as long as you can stay in the game. Because I think everybody out there knows, especially East Carolina, that they're playing with their second team. They're playing with what they can fit in. And so I think the quarterback is the one guy you don't want to put too much pressure on.
A lot of times, Coach, you take a look at the bowl game as a reward for a very good season. The next game we're going to talk about, these two teams probably figured they'd be playing each other in the college football playoff here. It's Penn State and it's Clemson. And also, team from the South in Clemson coming north in frigid temperatures to take on Penn State. A 2.5-point favorite for Clemson and a total of 47.5. A lot of moving parts in these two franchises as well, Coach.
I've gone with Clemson because their quarterback is going to be back. Klubnik's going to play. His running back, his two wide receivers. And I've been leaning Clemson all the way. Then I saw pictures of them out there in the cold and the snow and the weather. And that's typical Penn State weather. And that makes me think, gosh, I got to reconsider who I'm going to pick. But I'm going to stay with Clemson. I just think Clemson has a lot more to play for. The head coaching, I promise you, Dabo Swinney, he wants this game. It's important to his legacy. I think you've got a change of coaches at Penn State. You got a new quarterback who has played a couple of games, but he's not a lure. And so I just like Clemson. I worry about the weather. I think that's plenty of valid reason for somebody to go the other direction. But I think Klubnik will go out there with his running back, his wide receivers. They had enough depth to replace the fact that 7 offensive and 7 defensive players opted out of this football game.
Coach, I do want to bring up just an offensive game plan potentially for Klubnik. We haven't seen him perform up to expectations this year, and it's a cold weather environment. Do you think that Dabo takes a more conservative approach to try and win the game, or do you think he relies on Klubnik and his passing attack to potentially challenge a defense that could be suspect in this matchup?
Joe, I think Klubnik, the fact that he remained and chose to play to enhance his NFL, I do think you got to let him play. You got to let him do what he does best. And when he's got those receivers he's throwing, so I don't think they'll throw too much. But I've coached in cold weather and hot weather. If the wind's not blowing too bad and it's not sub-zero, cold weather doesn't necessarily hurt your passing. If those guys have warm gloves, the balls, it's not nearly as bad as wet or windy weather. And the windy snow weather is very bad. So if it's not too windy and cold out there, I think you can still throw the ball effectively. I know I've had to do it a lot. And so I still think they're going to have to throw the ball. I think Dabo owes it to Klubnik. He came back to play. Let him throw the football, but don't go crazy. If you can run the ball, that's going to make a lot of difference. And mix it together.
Coach, tonight Virginia's going to take on Missouri here, and Virginia had everything in front of them there. Just pick up a win in the ACC championship game. They will be playing in the college football playoff, but they lost. Now they're taking on Virginia today. This line opened up as a 7.5-point favorite towards Missouri at the opening numbers. We're now seeing 4s in the marketplace in a total of 43.5. Give me the psyche for Virginia entering into this game, knowing they could have been playing for much, much bigger pictures here.
Yeah, it really is a big disappointment. But still, if they can win this game, it's the most wins they've had in one season in school history. So it's still very important to Tony Elliott. But I look at these two teams, and I look at the schedule that they've had. Missouri is a team that's lost only to 4 ranked SEC opponents. And, yeah, their quarterback's out, and Zoller's not nearly as good as Chandler Morris. But I still like the fact that they can take the ball. I think they can give it to Ahmad Hardy, and I think they can run the football. They played a tougher schedule, and all the indicators look like they're heading toward Virginia, but I still like Missouri because of the schedule they played and how they played, and I just think they're going to find a way to win this game. And I've gone with Virginia all year, but after they lost to Duke, and I think the way Missouri, I'm a big believer in the head coach at Missouri and how they play football and the schedule that they go through week in and week out.
Coach, when you look at just Virginia losing to Duke the way they did in the ACC championship game, disappointing, potentially they could have made the college football playoff. You think that Tony Elliott and the staff utilized that as any type of motivation entering this matchup, especially knowing they're going up against an SEC caliber team?
Yeah, there's no question, Joe. I think Tony's got the right motivators. I think the team wants to win. I think they'll come in ready to play. But I also think Missouri is one of those teams that this is another big game for them. So I think both teams will give us a great game. I think this will be a very good game. I just like the strength of schedule and the competition Missouri has faced week in, week out. 2 really good football teams. Both of them I think will want to win, but I'm going to stay with Missouri.
Great stuff overall, Coach, as we bring in. And most people say, hey, Coach, what'd you do back in the 1990s? I don't know. Coach went undefeated in 1993 in the SEC. And, Coach, what about in 1994? Number one Florida Gators. You take the Tigers on the road. Tell them what happened quickly there.
Hey, we were 70.5-point underdogs, went down and beat them 38-35. Hey, tell Kurt Day that was 20 straight wins without a single loss in 2 years, in my first 2 years.
Money line, Coach. We love it. We'll be right back.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Right back out here on a Saturday morning, getting you ready for an exciting day of 8 bowl matchups, and also on the horizon, the college football playoff gets back. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Lisi here, and now we take a look at some of those Rat Pack games that we absolutely love to see. Now, granted, we're talking about the Rat Packs like maybe it's like Arkansas Pine Bluff at this point. It's not the case. It's bowl season, Joe. How about a little UConn? How about a little Army today? How about a little 8.5-point favorite for Army? My goodness here. What gives in this one?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
anytime you face the triple option, it's always a cause of concern. I mean, this line was 10.5 earlier in the week. Actually, about a week and a half ago, we saw 10.5. So we saw them buy it back down. There were 7.5s, I think, on Thursday night, Donnie, Christmas night. But now we're seeing more money coming in on Army. Starting quarterback for UConn is out. 42.5s were in the market. We're seeing 41.5s across multiple books from the total perspective, but I still like the over. I think potentially the triple option could be a cause of concern going up against a suspect UConn defense. And again, with Moore checked out and at Colorado State, it doesn't matter to me. I'm taking the over as my best play. Over 42.5. I think we blow through the total. Do lean to UConn a little with the points, but don't love it.
Low 20s, no precipitation in the forecast. Manageable wins here. Army looking, of course, to get that ground game going, Joe. But what do you think about this line, though? 7.5 to 8.5 points, depending where you're shopping at. I guess there's no lull in the military, academies there. It's like, okay, well, we just lost a bone crusher there to Navy. No big deal. We're going to show up. No opt-outs, Joe, for Army in this game? Come on now.
Nah, I mean, come on with the opt-outs. I mean, it's very rare that you get opt-outs with military academies, especially in this match. And we did see a transfer last year with Uda
Yeah, we did.
transferring to Arizona State. That was after the game, I believe, against Tulane after they won it. But again, when you have to face a triple option attack, it's still, even with 3 weeks of preparation, Donnie, very difficult. It's cold weather. There's potential rain and snow in the forecast. And again, it potentially could lead to chunk plays for Army in this matchup. I still believe in UConn because I like the number. Again, I think the 8.5 is still feasible. I still like that because I think UConn can move the football over the top of Auburn's secondary in the passing attack, even without their starting quarterback. But to me, I still think the numbers are light entering this matchup from the total perspective.
Rat Pack City, baby. How about this one? Miami, Ohio, Fresno State, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, Joe. 3.5 for Fresno State have turned into 5.5 as a favorite in a total. 40.5. Are we getting defense out here? I mean, Chuck Martin's bringing that D?
Yeah, I mean, they lost the MAC championship game to Western Michigan. They lost it by 10 points. That was an under. The total was 43.5 in that matchup. But I still believe in Chuck Martin getting points in bowl situations. His team are always prepared. We saw 3.5. You want to give me 5.5? I'll take a shot on Miami O to potentially win this game outright. They've stepped up in bowl situations before and have won the games outright. I remember one game a couple of years ago against North Texas. They stepped up. I think they step up again against Fresno State. I don't think Fresno State's a dominant team. 40.5 potentially is intriguing from the total perspective, but I would play it from an in-game aspect before pre-kick.
North Texas, San Diego State, Joe, in the Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. That sees a favorite for North Texas, and that was around 5.5. We're now over a touchdown at most marketplaces at -7.5, a total of 52.5. And by the way, I think we do have a key opt-out in this game. Listen here, Joe. Quarterback Mestamaker, I'm out. He's out.
Yeah, again, he's going to transfer to a bigger program. Now, again, we saw this, and I brought it up before. His first start came in a bowl appearance. The kid threw for 450 yards, Donnie. So, again, it's a system. But again, North Texas struggles with physical blue-collar teams. That's what San Diego State is. I think it's a smash job by the Aztecs. Again, I think they can run it and really wear down a weaker front seven in North Texas. I can only look to San Diego State. You might want to look at the total because I think San Diego State can run on that front seven. I love all the rushing totals for the Aztecs in that matchup.
What about the games from yesterday, Joe? A little quick. I know some Rat Pack style games. Northwestern clubbed Central Michigan. Minnesota in overtime, 20-17 over New Mexico. And then UTSA hit the afterburners, Joe. Popped the 57 on the board against FIU, winning by 37 points. Were you enjoying the action yesterday? Those Rat Packs.
I mean, it was good to get the over in UTSA and FIU, but again, when the starting quarterback is listed across multiple books and doesn't even play until the fourth quarter, that hurts everything from the props perspective. So again, tread lightly today, especially when you're talking about key members that potentially could move on to the NFL. That's always a cause of concern, Ben.
It is a cause of concern. By the way, 8 bowl games today. Next week on the horizon, the college football playoff. You know what we're going to do in hour number 2? We're going to re-rack it, hit the best bowl games of the day today, and also get that nice little look ahead to what's going to take place on New Year's Eve and also New Year's Day. Get ready, people. It's how we get down right here on the SportsGrid Network.
When you look at this NBA Cup, you have to think about the importance. As a coach, I find a lot of importance. This wasn't a gimmick win. The Knicks earned it the hard way, and it matters in April as Mike Brown continues to build that culture in New York, and now, in my opinion, the Knicks are legit contenders to win the NBA title.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When it comes to NAL, money does buy you talent, but it doesn't buy you chemistry, leadership, and wins. Look at St. John's, Kentucky, how they're battling. You need the right mix of experience, youth, and new blood if you're going to really tackle the transfer portal market in NIL and win consistently.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here